Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session of CampusCare Debate Competition. Today, I, Sakshi, host for the evening, would like to welcome you all for a debate competition that is on a very interesting topic, that is writing the only solution to oppose the government. So, I would request all the students who are here to express their views as you are talking about against the motion or for the motion. The ground is open for you all. Preeti, would you like to start off first?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, everyone. I'm Preeti Virka from IB, and I am talking in favor of the motion.
Continue, Preeti.
Yes. So we all know that riots take place very usually, like it happens too much in our country, doesn't it? Like if some people want anything, they may protest, but they cause destruction. The like for me, writing is a candle march that should be done, which is just without violence in any manner. Just because writing can be done peacefully as well. The government should think of pros and cons before imposing any policies, just because people may be offended with what they are going to give them. So they should also think from the perspective of the people. The policy should be acceptable by all in the favor of human well-being and goodness of the people. Are the policies approved by all the people who are responsible for that thing that is happening? I don't support any riots that are communal or done by on purposes by any of the politicians or any of the people who want it for some personal gain. But writing is mostly done by uneducated people to get attention for their problem. Those who didn't get their work done by the government, they had to do something, didn't they? And writing is the only path they choose to show their frustration and anger for their own problem not being solved. That's all they could do, right? Don't they? Just because they're uneducated and they don't know what they could do. Writing is the way they go through just to get their things done. And we should also see from their perspective. But according to me, writing is not the solution, but it can be done in a peaceful way.
All right. Anybody else who would like to speak?
May I?
Siddharth.
Yes. Very good evening to all of you present over here. My name is Siddharth Amol Patil from grade 9A. I study in Podda International School, and today I am speaking against the motion. It means that I would be talking why writing is bad. Okay. So writing is considered for me. Writing I consider is not a helpful way to oppose government policies, as we know that war has never means war is not a solution for anything. In the similar way, writing against government is also not a solution, as writing as many times we have seen that writing has only led to mass destruction, may it be in the infrastructure destruction, or may it be the destruction of livelihood. But we have always concluded that writing has always led to destruction. So the better way of opposing the government policies can be done by peaceful negotiations with the government, with peaceful demonstrations, as rioting doesn't lead to any proper solution. As for example, I would like to state, uh, before few days or few years, there was a rioting done by many of the people against the government, in which the people who were rioting against the government burnt many of the public transports and damaged many other public property. So I would like to say that rioting is the damaging of infrastructure, and is not an appropriate way to fulfill our demands. As for example, we can say that the public transport which is provided by the government is provided from the income tax we pay to the government, and due to rioting we destroy the same. So I can say that uh, rioting increases increases the income tax levels which we have to pay. It means that rioting done to oppose government policies is regretful for us only, as we are damaging many infrastructure, and it is not an appropriate way, because the solution or the uh, betterment is only in doing peaceful negotiations with the government and understanding the root of the problem and having peaceful negotiations and with peaceful demonstration. So I think rioting against the government policies in a violent way is very means it is not appropriate. So I would always suggest that we can solve any problem without having a war or without having a riot. So I think that peaceful negotiations and peaceful demonstrations are the only way, so in which we can come to a conclusion that we means it helps in the betterment of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Siddharth, for expressing your views. Do we have anybody else who would like to speak?
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, Piyush.
Okay, ma'am. Good evening, respected jury members and my worthy opponents. I, Piyush Verma from Sundardeep World School, hereby humbly express my thanks for your interest on the topic, is rights the only solution to oppose government policies? So, I am hereby standing against the motion. I would like to begin by saying that what is rights? So, in a simple way, it is a situation in which people gather and behave in a manner of fighting in a public place. According to me, it is wrong if someone does not like any government policy, then they have the right to express their disagreement calmly or peacefully. But violence can never be considered as an option. This leads to the loss of national property, which is not acceptable under any circumstances. If you disagree with anything, it is natural to express disagreement and protest, but in an ethical way. Supporting violence protest can not be acceptable in any condition. Protest in a peaceful way is always better than protest through riots or violence. For proving this statement, I would like to share some example. If we see farmers protest, but at last, when farmers peaceful protest changes into violence protest, then around 700 to 750 farmers allegedly died during the protest. If we see in Delhi's Red Fort incident, thousands of farmers clashed with police. More than 300 police officers were injured. Then second example, Agnipat protest. At this, one dead while several others were injured after shots were fired at a mob at Sikandrabad railway station. So we have seen that after protesting in a violent way, many people lost their lives and also loss of the national property. So in my opinion, if you want to protest, then please do in a calm way, not in a violence way. At last, I conclude by a quote written by Martin Luther King: peace is not merely a distant goal that we seek, but a means by which we arrive at that goal. Thank you.
All right. Do we have anybody else who would like to speak
May
or
I speak?
interject? Yeah, Animesh.
So, greetings all. My name is Animesh Yadav, and I'm from James International School in Gurgaon. So, I am speaking for the motion, which means I think riots is the only way to be heard by the government. I am saying this because us, a person always remembers the scars, however, he forgets all the scratches he gets. So, when riots happen and there's restriction of government property, the government will notice it. For example, in the farmer protest, the farmers were peacefully protesting for over an year, and still they were not heard by the government. However, when the Punjab elections started, the government had to do what the farmers said to get the votes in their state. So that's why the farmers' voice was heard. It was not because they were peacefully protesting. In the Agnipath protests and riots, the government is sure to notice. The common people who are not actually related to the issue will know about it and know its shortcomings and will further join the riots or pressure the government into reducing the riots, which would be the only thing for that would be to take back the government policy and uh, listen to the people. That's what I would say.
All right. So, do we have anybody else or anybody would like to interject? So, is there anybody else who would like to speak for the topic or against it?
Hi.
Hi,
Good
Geenal.
evening, ma'am.
Hi, Geenal.
Hi, I'm Gina from Gems International School.
Yeah, Geenal, could you
I'm
be a
here.
bit louder and have your video also with us?
Yeah, my video is on. Just give me a minute.
I couldn't see. And could you be a bit louder?
Ma'am, am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Am I audible now?
Geenal, you're audible, but your voice is too low to, I don't know whether everybody could hear you or not. The only thing is that, otherwise you're audible.
Okay. So, hi, I'm Gina Yadav from Gems International School, and I'm here to speak against the motion. I disagree. Rioting is not the correct way to oppose government policies. Violence is never the answer. In spite of temporary victory, violence never brings permanent peace, said by Martin Luther King. Due to these riots, innocent people who have nothing to do with the issue, are hurt. These properties, their belongings, are destroyed during. Many times, people and animals become collateral damages during these riots. I believe that things can be sorted out by sitting and having a civilized conversation instead of burning and breaking government properties just to get their attention towards the issue. According to studies, people who are part or are involved in riots go through post trauma and major depression. Rioting gives the youth wrong idea that they can get anything they want using violence, which according to me is not the correct way to get your way. One should go for sustainable protest instead of radical riots. Back in the day, we did not have any platforms to express our views on government policies. But now, technology has grown, and so have we. We have media and various social media platforms which can be used to use to get attention of the government and the people. Recently, our Prime Minister rolled out a new scheme, the Agnipath scheme, in which males and females between the age 17 and a half to 23 years can get a job in the armed forces for a tenure of 4 years, with salary given every month and many more benefits like health insurance and extra money after their tenure is done. But many people are not in the favor of this scheme, and there are ongoing riots because of that. Now, the scheme is helpful to many poor people, but because some people think that it's not okay, it's not a good scheme, they are destroying people's belongings and public. Sorry, ma'am. Yeah, they're destroying things. Modi ji has said that any student who was involved in these riots will not get a job in the armed forces. So I think riots, it's just a way to destroy your own life and the people who get involved in this.
All right, Geenal, thank you for your expression. Do we have anybody else who's speaking for the motion? Do we have anybody who would like to speak? Has everybody expressed their views on whatever for or against they were speaking for?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, is there any the room is open for interjection? So, anybody would like to interject?
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, Animesh.
So, as said by the people who are against the motion, that peaceful protests are the way to go for bringing change with government policies. But I would on contrary believe it will be only possible in a utopian society, which we do not live in right now, because without any violence or any harm to the public or private properties, people will not hear the say of the poor people or the lower class people. So, in order for their voices to be heard, they have to resort to such violence and destruction of property.
Okay. Anybody who would like to speak? The room is open. Anybody would like to express their views or interject somebody?
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, Preeti.
Ma'am, as whosoever was at this point right now against writing, they all said that writing causes a lot of destruction and a loss of public property. Yes, I agree. But that's what those people can do to grab their attention, right? Just because they didn't get their work done, that's all they could do. That was the only way they could choose. But I would also support if they do it peacefully. I mean, yes, it does cause a lot of destruction, but we should also see they also did it for some reason, right? So yes, all for all those who said it causes destruction, it is because they are doing the destruction to grab their attention.
Ma'am, may I speak?
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, Siddharth.
Now, as Preeti said, that means riot. If the riots are peaceful, then it's fine. So I would like to tell that as we live in a democratic country, so riots means any type of riot. If she says that peaceful riots are means a better option for fulfilling our demands, but I say that why there is a need of a riot if we can solve the problem by peaceful negotiations or by peaceful demonstrations. So I don't think that there is any need of such rioting or protest against the government to oppose the government policies if the solution can be founded by having peaceful negotiations or peaceful demonstrations with the government. So I don't think that there is a need of a riot, as we say that any kind of riot will still cause some kind of destruction, though it is a peaceful riot. But slowly, it would gain more motion, and it would surely means actually what happens is riot. We can say riots are a negative point, which represents a negativity that we are opposing the government. Yeah, we do have a right to oppose the government, but there as we live in a democratic country, but there should be some ways for opposing, as there should be no riots, and if the solution can be founded by peaceful negotiations or demonstrations, then I don't think that there is a need of a riot. So I think that if the problem is solved by peaceful negotiation, it would be very better for both the government and for the people, and no mass destruction or adverse impacts could be seen. Thank you.
Ma'am, can I speak?
Yes, Jinal.
Ma'am, as someone said that there is no other way to oppose the government policies, I disagree with that. We can start a movement on social media platforms and people join there. This have been proven effective. And if there's a way to peacefully do it, then why destroy things? Why destroy people's life and people's belongings? I'm not saying that we should not stand up for ourselves against the government. Yes, we should if we're not okay with something. But I think there are better ways to do it than to just go and burn things. We can start a peaceful moment on our social media platforms. We all have Instagram, Snapchats. I think we should put them to good use and tell that, start a movement over that, that okay, this is not right and I'm against this. People join in and this way it can be done peacefully and we get results. Thank you.
Ma'am, I'd like to oppose the point that Gina just said. She said that we could oppose or like use social media platforms. We could use online platforms instead of riots, right? But what I am saying is riot are usually like mostly done by uneducated people. They don't know the ways, and that's all they can do. They can do a riot because they know what they can do. Because they just know they can do a riot. They don't know about the online platforms much. So, like, yes, we should avoid riots. Peaceful riots is yes, that should be done. But what about the poor people who don't know things? That's all they can opt for.
Ma'am, to that, if someone doesn't know things about the scheme or the policy they're against and they just go writing, yes, they don't have any other option. But they have options. They could study and learn, and they could learn what the thing is about and then stand for it. But if they don't know anything about it or things to use, they don't know how to use other things, I think that like just going out and burning, even if they don't have any other option, it is not the right way to do it. Yes, it is done, but is it right? No. And if they don't have any other thing to convey themselves, they need to find options. They can't just go around destroying things. That's not right. Even if they do it, that is not right.
That's what am I trying to say. That is not right, and they don't know what is right. So that's what they opt for. We should see on the bright side that people need to be educated and they need to know what all things they can do, right? The right is not the only thing. What I am saying is, in mostly riots are the people who conduct riots are uneducated people. They don't know things, right? So those people need help, and that's the reason they just come out of anger and frustration to destroy things outside. Plus, it's not just people who do the riotings, but it's also media who, okay, as we know, media doesn't just tell everything as it is. They don't tell the truth always. It's always media spicing up things, and that's the reason it causes even more, it triggers up the anger of some people, right? So it's not just people doing it. Some other factors also influence riotings. And I think it is a way, it is correct in a way, right? It's not totally wrong, right?
Okay. Preeti, not
Yeah, I do agree that it's correct in a way, but if the problem can be solved by peaceful demonstrations, and I would like to clear a point that all the people who are participating in a riot are not educated. Many of them are educated too, but still they conduct riots and afterwards the consequences. For example, if in a riot the people burn public transports or cause damage to the infrastructure, then the people will only regret, as the public facilities provided by the government are provided because of the income tax we are paying. So if we means if the people are frustrated and take party or participate in a riot, the people only will have to regret and face the consequence.
I completely agree.
So why not to solve the problem or oppose the a peaceful demonstration
Yes, ma'am. I completely agree.
instead of rioting?
As
Yes, ma'am, I am also agree with him.
yeah, because as the people who take part in riots, not all of them are poor or uneducated. As I gave the example of the Agnipath scheme, in that most of the people standing up for themselves and like causing a riot are army officials, ex-army officials, and students. They're the ones standing up for themselves, and they're students, so they're educated. Some of them are not, I agree, but most of them are. Still, they're doing it because now they think that it's just an easy way to get things done, which is encouraging a wrong behavior, which will eventually let everyone to think that just you can get whatever you want by going out and burning things, which is not right. And over here, the topic is riots the only option or not? Not the educational system of our government or of India. So.
I like to say, like, okay, one more thing. People don't do riots just because they get pleasure burning and destroying things out there. Do they? They don't. They just want their things done. And that's the way they choose because they want it to be done. Maybe they tried it before, or government officials are doing some policies, are taking introducing some policies that are not pretty much appropriate or convincible or acceptable to some people. And yes, that's why they riot, right? That's why they conduct riots, because even they don't get any fun destroying things out there.
And
They do it for a
topic
reason.
of our debate. And that is the topic of our debate, that people do it, but they have other options, but they're just doing it because this they think is the easy way out. That is the topic. If it's wrong or it's right, not that is it been going on or not. The topic is if it's right or if it's not. If we have other options, and yes, we have other options, and yes, they have given results, and yes, we should choose to do them, not just go out destroying things to get our point.
Please don't try to explain me the topic. I also know what it is. And what I mean is, they can do it, and that's why they're doing it. As you said, it's an easy way, right? That's the reason they opted. They want to get the things done easily. And if rioting causes destruction, yes, they are doing it because they want their things done. There must be something wrong that government also is doing incorrectly, right? They are not opposing for some stupid reason, are they? They are also doing just because they want their thing to be done.
But there are better ways to do it. If I want
But
a new,
can we see the optimistic side and not riot? And instead of rioting, we can we can conduct peaceful negotiations. Why there is a need of rioting only?
exactly.
Can't the problem be handled with other ways?
I myself
For
agree
example,
that
government
writings.
policies-
All right, guys. So I would request one something important information, that you guys need to subscribe and tell your friends also to vote for you. Accordingly, the results will be described and shared with you. So carry on.
Yeah. So I was saying that if
I agree with you all that yes, writings.
Preeti and I'm
May
also
I?
confused if you're on the side or against the motion. If you're on the motion or against the motion, I'm really confused because you're saying rioting is a good way to do it because people do it and there's something wrong with the government. But on the same hand, you're saying it is not correct. So could you please tell me if you're
Girl,
against
what I mean is, okay, let me clarify myself. I am in favor of the topic, so of course what I'm trying to say is it is correct in a way, but I myself am not totally with the riots which are with violence. I myself support the peaceful riots. As Siddharth was saying, there should be peace, right? So that's what I'm saying. They could do peaceful negotiations, protest. They can do riots peacefully as well. That's what we mean by peace, right? So I'm not. What I mean by agreeing on your point is, yes, there shouldn't be any violence and they should do it peacefully. That's it.
I think you need to be.
Means you want to say that riot should take place peacefully, right?
Yes, you are saying that, na?
But why should there be peaceful riots? Why can't there be peaceful negotiations?
That's what I'm trying to say. There must be something that is not going according to the people, right? There must be something that the government has not done correctly. That's the reason they're opposing out there.
Or maybe doing it peacefully just takes longer. And just going out wild is easier and takes little less time, even though it destroys things. And at last, see, doing riots, what are the main things that happen? Burning the bus, burning the public bus, the bikes, blocking everything. At last, we're the one who's getting harmed. The poor people, as you said, who don't really have access to a lot of things, they're the ones who use the bus usually. Now they can't do it because riots. Now they can't go to work and earn for themselves, for the family because riots.
So as you just now told how effective is it, don't you think that due to that very reason they're writing you just told me how effective it is, right? They burn the buses, they can get all the attention.
Preeti, is it really effective? They just get the attention. Like, again,
that's the reason they're writing for. They want attention towards their problem just because it is being ignored somewhere.
What happens? It just causes harm. That is it. Like
my question is that can't the attention be gained by peaceful negotiation? Why there is a need of riots? I do believe that sometimes the government policies would be oppressive or it would be against the people. But why only riots is the only option remaining with us? Why not negotiation, peaceful
As
demonstration?
as Gina just said that how effective it is, that's the reason they do it. They want, okay, come on, do anybody of us want solution late, or okay, everybody wants quick results, don't they? And they just do it just because it is effective. They get attention for it and their problem is solved. And the officials do come to them, okay, tell us what you want, but stop this. Just because they are somehow successful in proving their point that we don't want this, and that's the reason they conduct riots, right?
Preeti, but
Now
that
I would
is
like
wrong,
to
right?
state an example,
If I
a
want
recent
something
example.
and I go, hi, can I speak, please? Yeah. If I want something and I go steal it from someone else, I got it. That's the easier way to do it. That's the faster way. Instead of doing it, hardworking, instead of buying it for myself, if I just go and pick it up, that's the easiest way to do it. But is it right? Is it okay if I do that? It's not.
Gina, you stealing things from a shop and people writing against government policies these are two totally different things. So please,
basic idea. I'm talking about the idea that you said that it's effective, it's faster, and it's easier. So it's okay for them
but
to do.
that is because they want their things to be done. Okay, tell me, why are you just thinking about the harm it causes? Why can't you see the people who are doing the riots? They conduct it for some reason, do they?
Yeah,
do they?
Because after weighing out the pros and cons, the cons are way more. The only pro I see over here that sometimes, once in a blue moon, it will be effective, but most of the times it won't. You know it won't. Okay? And it just causes harm. Instead of doing it peacefully, doing it like we should do it, going for options like destroying things, it's just not right. It's not okay to do that. You don't have the right to do that. Right to speech is something different.
Yes,
you do not
violence is not the solution. Yes, it is wrong, but that's the only way to
has an adverse impact on the economy of a
the only
country.
way you can do it. You can go.
And I would like to state a recent example. Before few days, the bus drivers, all the bus conductors and drivers went to a strike or a riot. But as the government did not increase their salaries, but after few days, what happened is they participated in riots, but no conclusion was yet to be found. But when they held peaceful negotiations with the government, they found the solution for their problem. So I would always suggest that rioting should be avoided. May it be a peaceful rioting or may it be a violent rioting. Instead of that, we can apply.
I would like to put 2 points
Peaceful
forward.
negotiations and peaceful demonstrations.
So I would like to put 2 points forward. The first of which would be peaceful negotiations don't actually work. It is a long drawn out process involving the court, which takes a lot of time and resources, and not many people have it. So, secondly, social media, as discussed, could be an alternative for riots. Is not actually credible because many people have fake accounts and numerous fake accounts, and not all information on social media is correct. So these 2 points are on what Siddharth and Gina have spoken about. Now, the the way of going for a change in some policy by the government is by going to the court, then having several discussions, and it takes a lot of time.
I would like to clear a point. Riots are mostly violent, and what is peaceful is strikes are peaceful. Violent riots are mostly violent. The definition of riots state that it is a civil disorder caused by violent people protesting or means using violent ways to fulfill their demands. But strikes can be peaceful, but not riots. And I oppose both the riots and the strikes. I only believe in peaceful negotiations with the government.
Okay.
And I conclude it as the best way of fulfilling our demand and to maintain a healthy relation with the government and uh, oblige the government to fulfill our demands. Means, as we know that war has never come to a conclusion or has never been fruitful to anything. As you know that First World War happened and means it just caused destruction. In the similar way, whenever a riot take place, the it affects many it affects many fields. For example, it affects the economy, infrastructure, building. Then we can say the increase in inflation, increase in the prices of income taxes. So I think riots should always be avoided.
I completely agree with Siddharth on the point that riots have more of an effect on the whole country. This is more of a reason for people to go with riots for changing policies which will affect the people at an instant time. For example, the batch for Agnipath is going to start soon. I don't actually remember the time. So this would actually be harmful for a few people. Firstly, the people who will be enrolling in the scheme would be from around class 10th, and they would not have any skill set developed, and they would have to serve 4 years in the army, which would be nothing for them. After the 4 years in the army, they will have no livelihood. Since they have no skills, they will be good for nothing. It would be a waste of human resource.
Because of this,
According to me, riots reflects pessimism. Means pessimist is the one who looks at the negative sides, and for me, riots are a negative thing. Is a negative thing. Riots are always a negative thing. Means it works on the principle of pessimism. Means uh, also has a negative and adverse impacts on everything which I stated sometime before, like infrastructure and buildings, economy, livelihood. If riots, sometimes riots become so severe that it also causes deaths, and it also proves dangerous for the livelihoods.
Siddharth, wouldn't you consider yourself a pessimist for
yeah.
only seeing the uh, harmful effects of riots, not the outcomes which are after the riots?
Yeah, that only I'm trying to clear that riots always have an adverse and disastrous effect.
No, I'm talking about the better effects. For example, you're writing against a policy, and that policy got that thing changed because of the riots. So, wouldn't it be beneficial for the people?
Animesh, if we have one pro for the riots, that doesn't mean it's all right to do it. If the cons, they're more. We just have one pro that they'll do it more fast. That's it. That's all we have. And as you said about the Agnipath scheme, that it will just be a waste of human resource. This has been in work for like in many countries for many years. And SSC, Short Service Commission, existed before also, and it was for 5 years. So it's not new. But why are people standing up against for this now and not before? This happened before. This existed before, but we all of a sudden have a problem with it now. And because of this scheme, the poor people who don't have any money will be able to get a job, earn for themselves and their family for 4 years, and then after that they'll get a good amount of money. They'll get health insurance, and it's clearly mentioned that the certificate, the Agniveers are the people who will come out of the
Yes, I'm aware about it.
Agniveers. They'll get a certificate which will be very helpful for getting further jobs. So it is not a waste of human resources. It's a very good thing for people who are really poor and need money. And also this is a win-win for the army and the people. So
And as we live in a democratic country like India, we do have the right to means we do have the right to freedom of the speech or conducting riots or conducting strikes. But while conducting riots against the to oppose the government policies, we should also think about the consequences that we would face after rioting against the government policies. But if in that similar way, if we try to negotiate with peaceful talks with the government, we are guaranteed to get fruitful results.
Actually, Siddharth, we are not guaranteed to get fruitful results either in riots or in peaceful talks.
exactly. So why not do it peacefully?
But the probability in riots is more since there is a harm of public property of people. So the government will listen to more people, right? We are in a democracy.
And I also wanted to add on one thing. It's not just people taking advantage, right? It's not just the anger and frustration at the immediate or proximate cause. It's always some underlying issue. And riots are the problems because of those underlying issues. They might be for some particular cause, right? That people are opposing, that government policies, the people are opposing for that, right? And they are not
Yeah,
just riots, they are just resident. Yes, okay, they may cause a lot of destruction and all, but they are also the result of long held angers among the people.
but is it fine that the destruction caused? Is it the destruction caused is fine?
Yes, violence is not fine. That can be done peacefully. But yes, riots can lead to serious attention and change. And that's the reason riots take place, don't they?
But is it the correct way to do it? If we actually have another option, and if we can opt for it, then why do we have to do this? Why do we have to burn things if we can just opt for peaceful ways? And it's not like we always get results in riots and we never get results in peaceful way. That's not right? Like we have the example of Mahatma Gandhi.
I'd like to interrupt. I'm really sorry. I'd like to interrupt. But riots are caused by genuine anger, not solely opportunities to just loot out or just cause destruction for anything, right? They don't get pleasure by doing that.
During riots, like if we right now, let's take the Agnipath scheme again. Not only students, but many older people are also there. We can see them on the news and things. They do not have anything to do with it because they're not 23 or 17, but they're still doing it. In many riots, people who have nothing to do with it, nothing to do with the scheme or the issue, come over there with sticks.
Yes, they come just because they support the idea that people are protesting for.
Yeah, and the way they support the idea, it can be done using different ways, correct ways. And we need to do that. Just going out and burning things just because that's easy is not right.
The fact that you have said it is not right to go rioting is morally correct, but in actuality, it is the only way for some people to do this. Not all people are educated enough to oppose the government with all these various processes and different steps for just changing a policy, which is affecting them in real time and would affect them for a long time in the future too.
That can be done peacefully. That still can be done peacefully.
I'd say that peace is not always not the option, because it's a very long drawn out process. And as stated by somebody about Mahatma Gandhi, his ways were okay at that time, but nowadays it's not very feasible because people don't have much time in today's world. So, for example, in the farmer protest, the farmers were protesting for over an year, and they were doing it peacefully, which caused a lot of them to lose their livelihood, as they could not keep check on their farms, and they were not able to get the yield for that year. So they suffered financially, and in the end, it was they got what they wanted, but it was a very long drawn out process, and their loss considered to what they got was not very sufficient, or I'd say satisfactory.
Do you still think that riots are the only way to oppose the government policies?
Siddharth, as you said, as you just now said, I'd like to stay on that. Social justice riots are depicted as people senselessly destroying their own communities to no productive means, right? That's what you all are saying, that it's violent and it's not appropriate. but violent demonstrations can have a very effective change. And when you have such a major event like riots, the power structure has to respond on it, right? That's the reason they do. And yes, that can be a solution for opposing government policy.
Then don't you think that peaceful negotiations can be the solution to oppose the government
Do you
policy?
think they can bring a spurt change?
Yes, we do think that they can bring a change. And that's why
Or,
we stand.
or don't you think until the change comes, won't it be too late? Won't it be?
Abhi, the riots, the
It's not
recent riots
always in
that
all
are
the
going on,
cases.
do we have results for them? Did they bring a change? Any change? Did we get them? Any change?
What are you
Yes.
talking about? Sorry again.
Give me an example of any recent riots that you think that actually brought some peace, some change.
Okay, so do you remember during one riot that happened for like Black Lives Matter? Do you remember? It's not pretty much recent. It's pretty much old. But yes, riots did happen at that time for Black communities. Don't you think that now there are pretty much reforms for Black people?
Did we
See,
not
I would like to tell that
That
riots are of
brought
many
change,
types.
didn't it?
did we
Riots are of many types, but in each type of riot, there is a mass destruction of anything. There are many types of riots. Riots on the basis of religion, riots that are happening to oppose government policies, etc. There are many types of riots, and all the riots have seen worse consequences.
if we go out and start violence, start burning things for everything we
All
believe
right,
is
guys,
wrong?
we would like to wind up. So quickly express whatever you want to and whatever you want to say. So a quick wind up.
So, I I think that avoiding riots and indulging in peaceful negotiations and peaceful demonstrations are the best way to convince the government to do betterment of the people. It is the best way. Peaceful negotiations are the best way of conversation with the government, so that the government would fulfill our demands and not the riots, because riots have never concluded to the betterment of people, but it has caused the destruction and have many worse consequences. But peaceful negotiations have always proved fruitful.
Ma'am, I think
Thank you.
that when you have a major event like riots, the power structure has to respond. So yes, when they conduct a riot, they do get the results that they want. They get some attention. They get responded by the government, right? So I think riots can take place, but peaceful riots are always a better option to opt for. So yes, I'd like to say those are an option, a way to oppose the government policies.
Yeah, they did get results. They did get the attention. Like recently, the rioters in Agnipat scheme, the children who were in the riots, who took the part over there, they cannot apply for this job. So they have ruined their chances to get a better house, to get a better life for themselves. So yes, they did get results. Yes, they were negatives, but results were there.
Now, I would like to let's go into the past and see before India got its independence. Gandhiji, Mahatma Gandhi always conducted peaceful demonstrations and peaceful negotiations. He never used any violent ways to means oppose the government. Though the Indians or Mahatma Gandhi himself did not like oppressive policies of the British, but still he revolted against the Britishers in a peaceful way, by doing peaceful demonstrations. So we should learn from this that riots have always caused mass destruction and adverse and disastrous effects, but peaceful negotiations and peaceful demonstrations have always proved very fruitful in any case.
Okay, so going into the
All right. So to wind up the entire session, we were talking about is rights the only solution to solve government policies or to make changes in the government policies or something like that. But there's always a situation wherein it has two ways. There's always a flip side to whatever we are talking about and how we deal with it. Everybody has their own perception and everybody has their own way of understanding a particular situation. You can have protest, you can have, stands for whatever you think is right and wrong, only and only when it's not harming the society at large, only and only when you're not harming any single soul, just to solve your purpose. Coming to a protest, coming to stand for something and speaking out for something, just because you have a democratic society wherein you have the right to speak, wherein you have the right to tell people and stand up for whatever you need, is right only to an extent when you're not harming anybody. Whether it's a transport, whether it's a, see, whatever you do, wherever you do, has its pros and cons. So make sure whenever you are doing something, it is for a cause, a good cause, but not harming people, not at the stake of somebody's life, not at the stake of somebody's property, not at the stake of somebody's, I mean, we just do not even have time for that. So, whenever you're blocking one route and protesting, do it in a manner that nobody else gets affected with the route they want to travel in. So, it's not just affecting anything and everything, but the entire way of surviving. Everything will get solved. Protesting will not make it quick. Making it into happening a protest, turning into a riot will never solve a problem. You want to make certain evidences of being into a protest and have a quick action to it, might as well do things quickly, create societies quickly, go to the laws or anything, but without harming people, without creating a situation wherein it's not, you are showcasing a world wherein you give a wrong example, you're creating a very wrong image, and giving example to the outer world wherein you tell people that this is the only way how things can happen, which is not. A kid cannot be somebody who can be the excellent and the outstanding student just by hitting, just because you are hitting a child and you want him to learn. That doesn't happen. So a child understands how things work when he gets hit, and also a child understands certain things when he's being taught nicely, politely. So there's always two sides of the situation. It's just how you deal with it and how things get, everything will turn into a solution. Signing off with this note today with the discussion. Thank you. And do subscribe. Again, a reminder, whosoever will be subscribing and voting for the candidate and has the maximum vote will be the winner. So, just a gentle reminder before I sign off. Thank you so very much for having us with you. Have a nice day and a nice evening. Bye bye.
Thanks, man.